I keep taking, but I can never give back. Walter mumbles these words without lifting his gaze from the floor. At 76, he leans on his cane and steps into the small neighborhood bakery as the first rays of morning light hit the street. Every day, the same routine, the same slow steps, the same loaf of bread, the same sentence, and the same hard life. Inside, the oven is still warming up. The shelves are empty. Louis Armstrong plays softly on an old radio in the corner. The stone oven glows with embers. The baker behind the counter looks over his glasses with a warm smile. "Walter, you don't owe anything. Someone has already taken care of it." Walter was used to hearing that by now, but it still hurts, every time, because he still doesn't know who he is. And the debt he carries is not just money, it's the weight of a lifetime, things that can never be repaid. But at the same time, he is so happy that such a good person is making this gesture of caring for him. Just then the door opens. A large man enters, wearing a black hat, broad shoulders, tattooed arms. His face softens when he smiles. Walter walks out and gets hit by a camel. "Be careful, sir. Do you need help?" "I'm used to falling, but I always get up. That's my life in a nutshell." They lock eyes briefly, two different worlds sharing the same fatigue. The man holds the door for Walter with a gentle nod. The baker watches them from behind the counter. Two men who don't know each other, connected by the same chain of kindness in the same city. One doesn't yet know who the other really is, and perhaps this mystery is what makes the story powerful. That afternoon, outside the bakery, on an old cobblestone sidewalk, stands a wooden bench, faded in the shade. Walter is sitting, taking a sip from his brown thermos. His walking stick rests nearby. He is alone, but it is a familiar loneliness. Then he appears again, the big man from the morning. This time he is holding 2 paper coffee cups, the same soft smile on his face. "One of these came extra. I thought you might like me to keep you company." Walter looks at him. He hesitates, then he shakes his head. Coffee is not a rarity in this city. Politeness is. So he slides over and makes room. Their conversation is slow and halting, but honest. "My name is Walter. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I lost my wife 10 years ago. I've been raising my grandson ever since. He has a heart condition. I go out when he's sleeping. I clear my head. It's too much for me not to be able to help my grandson and to see him at home like that." The man is listening, quietly but intensely, there. He's Dwayne Johnson, but Walter doesn't know that. He doesn't need to know. "What about you?" Walter asks. "I'm trying to make peace with my past, to make things right." Quietly, Walter nods slowly. A long silence falls. Birds chirp. The wind rustles the leaves. A cup of coffee can be finished in 2 sips, but sometimes friendship begins at the bottom of that cup. And in that moment, no cameras rolling, no applause, 2 souls silently open a window into each other's lives. When the noise of the city finally subsides, a single light bulb above the bakery counter continues to burn. The ovens are cold, the shelves empty. The baker is sitting at his desk backing up security footage on his laptop. He talks on the phone. Yes, the same guy every month. He walks in quietly. He leaves the envelope. He never says his name. But there's something about him. He's different. A really different person. The grainy camera image shows a tall, broad figure in a hoodie. He moves as if the night belongs to him. He is holding a thick brown envelope. He steps through the door as if he is at home, without hesitation. He walks up to the counter, slowly puts the envelope down. Walter owes nothing. Not for bread, not for life. Let him live in peace. The baker takes off his glasses and watches the man. "I still don't know your name." "You don't need to know, and that's what he wants." The man turns to leave. The camera catches only his back. Broad shoulders, tattooed arms, the brim of his hat pulled low. His face never shows, but the silhouette, it speaks louder than words. That night, something goes wrong. The bakery's system crashes, and the footage accidentally uploads online. The first person to share it captions it simply, "I don't know who this man is, but humanity's still alive." Within hours, the clip goes viral. Millions watch. The stranger in the night becomes the hope of the morning, but Walter remains completely unaware. The next morning, Walter steps into the bakery, greeted by an odd silence. The baker smiles, but there are tears in his eyes. Customers glance at him, then quickly look away. Then Walter's grandson rushes in, holding a phone. "Grandpa, look, that video, it's your bakery. Everyone's talking about you." Walter adjusts his glasses. He squints at the screen. A video plays, the man's back to the camera, and suddenly, something shifts. His smile fades, his eyes narrow. That's him, the man who bought me coffee. That afternoon, Walter returns to his usual bench, his cane resting against his leg, his eyes locked on the far end of the street, and right on time the man in the black cap appears. "Nice day, huh? I'm not here for the weather, I'm here for an answer. Was that you? In the bakery that night?" A pause. "You once said, sometimes it's enough to fix things quietly. That's all I was trying to do." Walter smiles faintly, tears welling up. He sets his cane aside and grips his cup with trembling hands. "I know your name now, but what matters is what you did. And you, my friend, you're more real than the heroes we watched as kids." Dwayne lowers his head, adjusts his cap. The real hero is the man who walks into that bakery every morning, with a cane and a heart full of pride. They sit in silence. No words, just understanding. Sometimes you don't need to know someone's name. Sometimes you know them by the way they walk. 1 week later, the bakery was adorned with colorful decorations. A small block party had begun. Children's laughter filled the air. Homemade cookies passed around, live jazz playing softly. But at the heart of it all was a wooden panel hung on the stone wall. On it, a single photograph, faded but powerful. Walter and Dwayne Johnson sharing coffee on that familiar bench. Beneath it, a simple sentence: "I never needed to know his name, because what he did told me everything." Before the celebration truly began, the baker stood before the crowd with a microphone in hand. This neighborhood had a man who quietly carried a debt, but someone else was carrying it with him, someone who stayed hidden, who lived only for his humanity. We now know his name, but it was never about who he was. It was always about what he did. The crowd applauded, eyes filled with tears. Grandchildren hugged their grandparents. Elderly neighbors placed their hands over their hearts. Walter sat on his old bench just outside the bakery. His grandson, Ethan, sat beside him, holding up a crayon drawing he had made. 2 men on a bench, one with a cane, the other in a cap, a heart between them. Above it, written in shaky letters, "Thank you, Mr. Giant." From the crowd, Dwayne Johnson approached quietly, dressed simply, head lowered. People recognized him, but no one swarmed him. No one asked for a photo. They just let him be. He met Walter's eyes. No words were spoken. Then Dwayne bent down and took Ethan's drawing gently into his hands. He studied it with care. Slowly he leaned forward, resting his forehead against Ethan's. "Your grandfather reminded me what kindness really means. Now it's your turn. Just remember this. Sometimes silence is the loudest voice of all." Then he reached into his wallet and pulled out a folded note, the size of an envelope. He placed it gently on Walter's knee. On it, just one sentence: "You owe no debt to this bakery. You owe no debt to life. Until you forgave yourself, humanity had already forgiven you." Walter closed his eyes. He smiled. He didn't need to say a thing. At the end of the day, when the crowd had cleared and the music faded, the bench still held a trace of something sacred, a faint coffee stain, a wrinkled note, and the memory of 2 shadows that had once sat side by side. And the whole neighborhood now understood. That loaf of bread each morning had always been a crumb of a silent miracle.